Hi, my name is Denise McKinley, and I'm a pre-sales specialist at 2020. And the reason for my video today is to address some of the concerns that some of my 2020 Giza users might have in looking at migrating to 2020 Cap Complete. Migrating to a new platform is not always easy. So to help with the transition, you will have continued access to your 2020 Giza. And you're also going to gain access to 2020 Visual Impression if you do not currently have it. So some of the benefits to migrating, obviously, first and foremost, is you're going to minimize any AutoCAD drawing issues with importing and exporting in 2020 Giza. 2020 Cap Complete opens a DWG file directly, and it saves as a DWG file. Custom catalogs exist within 2020 Cap Complete, and they replace your 2020 Giza user libraries. One of the big benefits of this is you can actually share custom catalogs with other users. So what are some of the things you can store in these custom catalogs? If you're working with custom items or specials, those can be stored. Panel configurations, and also typicals or standards that are created. You're going to have more robust automation with Panel Builder versus Frame Designer with more manufacturer automation than you have with Giza. There's no learning curve for 2020 Worksheet or 2020 Visual Impression because they function the same way in Cap Complete as they do inside of Giza. And 2020 Cap Complete is going to be able to handle larger, more complex projects. So let's go ahead and take a look at 2020 Cap Complete. So when you first come into the application, it might seem a little overwhelming to you. But the good news is, even though there's a lot this program can do, in the beginning, I think there's only going to be a small subset of the functionality that you're actually going to be using to get your drawings done on a day-to-day basis. The good news is that the Mini Explorer on the left-hand side that you see here is the exact same Mini Explorer you have in Worksheet. So you just basically drill down through it to be able to find the actual parts and pieces that you're going to place in your drawing. So as I said, just to kind of touch on some of the reasons why we have some of our Giza users migrating is the fact that I can come in here and simply open up an AutoCAD file. So if I've been given an AutoCAD file, I just go ahead and select it and I go ahead and say open. Now, if you've exported a Giza file as a DWG and you open it directly into Cap Complete, any of the furniture objects that are in that drawing will actually come into Cap Complete and they will be intelligent. So you can generate a bill of materials from that, and there's no need to actually redraw anything from that standard product that you placed inside of the drawing. So some things in the CAD world. If I want to kind of zoom in or move around, I use my wheel to do that. If I hold my wheel down, I can pan. If I want to select, if I want to select this whole group here, I'm just going to click, hold my button down and select it. If I want to just do a few objects in here like these chairs, I'm going to left click, hold it down, and I went left to right this time. I'm going to go right to left and just cross those chairs. And I've selected them. So let's just go ahead and hit escape. So a couple other things here I like to do as far as settings for when I'm working in here. There's an ortho. Ortho is allows me to do nice straight lines or place all my furniture in 90-degree angles, whatever it is that I need. So I normally will have my ortho on. And then just a couple icons over is my object snap. I'll just right click on this and go into settings for you. All of the furniture objects that you put inside of the drawing do have nodes on them. So I typically will have node on, and of course I want my object snap so that I can snap the furniture together. So let's take a look at placing some furniture in here. So if I want to go into a catalog, I'm just going to go ahead and select, let's go to Systems. And we're just going to go ahead and select a couple things here and place them. So let's just do 24. I hover over that, but I'm going to left click, hold that mouse button down, and I'm going to drag and drop it. And then I'm going to use my mouse to rotate it. Okay. Once I've rotated that and placed it, it's going to bring my panel placer tool up because yes, there is one inside of Cap Complete. I'm simply going to hover over the next size that I want and let my panel placer do the rest. So if I just hover over the 24, it's going to change it here, tell me what my next one is, and I hit the down arrow. Okay. So I can then go back to work surfaces and let's just put a couple pieces in here. And I want the 4224, left click, drag, and now it's in my drawing. Remember I said we have nodes. There's the node. I need to place that again. I right click and I just have it repeat my last command. And then if I want to go back to a corner, do curve front, it's pretty easy. Left click, drag. Whoops, I did that on purpose. We're going, oops, hold on here. I need to get rid of it. So I'm going to hold on, click it, delete it, and let's just go ahead and grab the next one here. There we go. Okay, it's that easy. So a couple, some things I want to really kind of focus on is custom catalogs and how we work with custom catalogs in here. As I said, they do replace your Giza user libraries. And as I said, they're shareable. So you could give your custom catalog to someone and they could go in and actually use what's in there. You can put it on a network drive and be able to share it that way. But let's kind of look at how custom catalogs work and the things that you can actually put in those custom catalogs to reuse later. So first thing we'll look at is something called a CAP standard. Now, before I do that, I'm actually going to window around this and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it. All right, and I'm going to delete the internal components I have here. So we have in Cap Complete something called Cap Standards. These replace your Giza typicals. Okay, so we have Cap Standard up here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new Cap Standard. So to create that standard, I'm simply going to start by selecting the objects. So I'm just going to select the internal components. I'm going to select a base point. Typically, I'm going to do that in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and select next. It's going to ask me for a tag location because this is the tag you're going to find on the standard whenever you insert it. So we're going to go ahead and select next. And we're going to call it typical A. Obviously, you can call it whatever you want. As I said, that's the tag that's going to show on the drawing. So when you go to check the drawing against your specification, you simply need to count the typical A's that you find in the drawing. If this is for a long description, so if typical A doesn't mean anything to you, or 6x6, 8x8, whatever you want to name it, just go ahead and put an additional description in here. And also, if you want to put any particular tagging on here, so if this typical is being used on a certain floor in a certain department, you can certainly set them up that way. We're going to go ahead and select next. And we're going to go ahead and put it in my ABC company. That's who I'm going to be working with. Let's just go ahead and select finish. And it's created your standard. So let me refresh this for a second. Here's our ABC company. And here's our typical A. I drag and I drop it. Let's take a look at standards, how they function, and the power behind them. I'm going to go ahead and undo one of the standards that I have in here because the customer has changed their mind and we want to make a change to it. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and, as I said, undo this. And you'll notice when I actually hover over this, whether it's the tag or the furniture itself, it's actually highlighting all of the parts and pieces. This is a nested block, and that's how you can actually pull everything in as one group. So we're going to go ahead and undo that, and now it's all back to its parts and pieces. So we're going to add a couple flipper door units to this. Oh, you know what? Do I have my ortho? I know we talked about ortho, and I want to have that on. And then we're just going to repeat, make this real easy. And we're going to go ahead and put the second piece in. So now I can go up to our standards again, and I can make a new cap standard, and I'm going to select the object. So I'm just going to window around everything, or do a crossing around everything that's inside of here. I'm going to pick the same base point for you. And when I do next, it's going to ask me for the tag properties. Didn't really like where that tag ended up, so let's just go ahead and move it over here. And I'll do next. Because I've used typical A before, it's going to show on my dropdown. And I'm going to go ahead and do next. Go to our ABC company, and I'm going to finish. And as soon as I hit finish, it's going to basically throw up a little warning that says, hey, by the way, typical A already exists. Do you want to overwrite it or redefine it? It's either a yes or no. In this case, I'm going to say yes. And the reason I want to redefine it is because I have additional typicals that I want to go out and update. So you can see, just like that, I was able to make that change. And if I would have had 25 of these in my drawing or whatever, it would have gone out and updated all of them for me, just like that. So with typicals, it doesn't necessarily have to be like in this example, a workstation with internal components and such. It could be a private office configuration that you might use over and over again, a conference room configuration, so anything that you want to use. So some of the other things that we use, and I'll just kind of go over here to this part again. We save panel builder configurations in here also. So if you are working with a frame and tile system, let's just go ahead and get out of here for a minute. I didn't want to go in there yet. We do that through Automation Center. So within Automation Center, here is all of the lines that we have that are supported with either auto hardware or frame and tile. So if I'm going to work with, say, our DMO catalog, I'm going to go ahead and select the DMO catalog. And I'm going to tell it to start panel builder. So panel builder is going to load, and let me just bring it back over here. So how do we work with panel builder? Pretty easy. And to me, as I said, a lot of what we do in Cap Complete is so much more visual. So we're going to start with a frame. We're going to use a base frame. And I'm just going to left click, drag and drop. We do a lot of this in Cap Complete. So once I've got my panel or my frame in, I can go over here and I can change the height. If I want to leave it at a 66, then I can just come in here, left click, drag and drop. And if I want to put a marker board, whatever I want to do, I simply just drag and drop. Now, if I were to put, say, glass, and I tried to do a 24, yep, into the space that's left, because it's rules-based, it's going to say I can't go past that, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 12 in here. And then it automatically will put it on the other side. So then what I do at this point is I'm going to save. So if I hit the save button, I'm going to save it in that same custom catalog, and I'm going to give it a name, and maybe this is my 66. Oh, what did I do? I did a standard marker glass. You can give it a description. This is the tag that's going to show when you place it in your drawing. So let's just go ahead and say OK. It's going to take the height and create all the possible widths that are available for that. So when I go ahead and say OK, we'll move Panel Builder out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and go to my Projects tab. Here's all my widths for that height. So if I wanted to do 24, left click, drag, drop, panel builder comes up again, or panel placer tool comes up again. So let's just go ahead and change one. I just want to put a couple pieces in here. But that's how you work with this. And then right away you'll see that the tag's on there. There's no show. There's like everything is here immediately. And the way that I can check this too is there's this little cap info button. Anytime I click on cap info, it's going to show me everything that's associated with that part at that point. And all this information goes into Worksheet. Okay. And like I said, if I had custom parts and pieces that I wanted to make, I can do all of that, and add that all to my custom catalog. Also, your auto hardware is in automation. So just these couple pieces I did, I'll just window that. And then it's going to place my hardware for me. And as I said, we do have more manufacturers available inside of Cap Complete. So if there's other manufacturers that you haven't had access to in Giza, you're going to be able to use them in here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off real quick and take us back to our drawing here. So if you need to create a worksheet from here, it's a little icon that says create. I'll do next, and we'll just do all of the objects. And we'll hit finish, and we'll open it up, and let's just take a look at it, just so you know that it's counting all the parts and pieces in here. And I'll bring worksheet over. As soon as it's done loading, everything is always a little bit slower. So let's just close this. Let me drag it over here. Here's all your parts and pieces. Here's your standard. Here's all the parts and pieces. We'll step out of that level. Here are your panel configs. These are all the parts and pieces that we used for that panel config. And then all your standard parts are here. So obviously at this point, it's just worksheet. Put your finishes on, do your discounting, put your proposal together. And if you want to take it into visual impression, then just hit the visual impression button and you're good to go. So I just touched a little bit on some of the things that I thought were of benefit in your migration. I'm sure that you may still have, a lot of questions, but we're certainly here to help. You can always contact Inside Sales for more information or visit our website